Now, from WYDC TV, this is Big Fox News at 10.
Good evening and Happy New Year. I'm Anna Manuel. The new year brings with it some old challenges in Washington. Lawmakers and the president left town for the holidays with a load of unfinished business. Doug Luzader reports from Capitol Hill on what they're facing in the weeks ahead.
The Christmas decorations may come and go, but the to-do list in Washington seems to last forever.
Look, there's a lot we have to tackle in the coming weeks. The shutdown clock is ticking now, and the war in Ukraine is raging now, and the child care crisis is getting worse. WIC needs to be fully funded and a lot more.
That's a handful right off the top, but the first one is going to dominate. The possibility of a partial government shutdown. 2 deadlines, actually, with the first one in less than 3 weeks. Add to that White House calls for more funding for Ukraine, there's aid to Israel, and more resources for a border crisis that seems to get worse and worse.
Congress needs to take action. They need to take action. I will leave it to congressional leadership on the calendar and procedure and how they're going to move forward, but these are important actions that American people need.
Important actions with tight deadlines, but the give and take will eat up time. And no one wants a temporary funding deal or a continuing resolution that will create just another deadline.
A CR is simply unacceptable for a year. It's devastating, particularly for defense, and we've got all of these wars going on. So we need to reach an agreement on the top line and get about getting an outcome as soon as possible.
There are a lot of ideological divisions that are hampering the House Republican majority's ability to work with the Senate Democrats and to work with the White House, and I don't see that changing anytime soon.
And add to the pressure the 2024 race for the White House. The Iowa caucuses are coming up on January 15th. That first government funding deadline is on the 19th. In Washington, Doug Luzader, Fox News.
A tragic start to the new year after a car mows down pedestrians in New York City. It was a chaotic scene after police say an out-of-control driver slammed into a crowd of people at the intersection of West 34th Street and 9th Avenue. Several people were hurt, including police officers. The incident happened around 1:30 this morning, just blocks away from where revelers filled the streets to watch the New Year's Eve ball drop. According to some reports, NYPD officers were chasing the car prior to the crash, but that has not been confirmed. 3 vehicles were among the damaged cars found at the scene. The driver, who was also hurt, was taken to the hospital. Chief Justice John Roberts is weighing in on the future of artificial intelligence in the judicial system. In a 13-page year-end report, Roberts urges judges and lawyers to use caution in their work when using AI. The Chief Justice acknowledged AI has potential benefits to help revolutionize research and assist courts with resolving cases more quickly. But Roberts warned about AI's ability to hallucinate and fabricate court cases, which has led to instances where lawyers have cited fictitious cases in their legal filings. Some Applesauce products that were previously recalled may still be on the shelves at certain stores. The FDA says by December 13th, certain pouches linked to potential lead poisoning were still available for purchase at several Dollar Tree stores in multiple states. The agency received another report on December 19th that the products may still be on the shelves at Family Dollar stores as well. The CDC is also investigating the outbreak and says it's received 251 various reports from health departments across 34 states. A decision from the Maine Secretary of State to ban former President Trump from the ballot in the next presidential race is getting pushback. Now, this ruling came on the heels of a similar decision in Colorado that could potentially keep the former commander-in-chief from returning to the White House. Alexandria Hoff has the latest.
The Trump legal team has their sights on Tuesday to appeal the ballot decisions in Colorado and Maine. Right now, there are 13 states with pending action to bar Trump from the ballot. The lawsuits are using a Civil War-era clause in the Constitution that bans a person involved in an insurrection from holding public office. What makes the decision out of Maine unique is that this is the first state where the Secretary of State, Shanna Bellows, took action unilaterally, as opposed to Colorado, where the decision came from the state Supreme Court. Here's how Bellows responded to criticism over the solo judgment.
Every elected official swears an oath to the Constitution. I swore an oath to the Maine Constitution and the United States Constitution. And Maine election law requires me to hold a hearing of this sort.
Bellows, a Democrat, has suspended her decision pending the expected appeal from the Trump team. In Colorado, Trump's name will appear on the primary ballot unless the Supreme Court sides with the state Supreme Court's decision to kick him off. Fox News contributor Professor Jonathan Turley sees that as unlikely.
I do believe that the Supreme Court will reject this pernicious theory. I think that the court will see this for what it is, which is a distinctly anti-democratic effort to win this election in the courts rather than polling places.
The GOP frontrunner's name is on California's ballot. Secretary of State Shirley Weber declined efforts to have it removed, telling the LA Times, quote, "I have to basically continue to abide by the rule of law. And for me not to do that, then I'm no better than Trump." And when you look at a state like Maine, it went for Biden in 2020, but it's one of two states that splits its electoral votes. And last election, Trump earned one of Maine's 4. In Washington, Alexandra Rehoff, Fox News.
As the rest of the world ushers in the new year, displaced Palestinians across the Gaza Strip and families of hostages still being held by Hamas are reflecting on the last brutal months of 2023. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says the war isn't expected to end anytime soon as IDF troops escalate their offensive. Claudia Cowan reports on the latest.
The hope and promise associated with the new year are sentiments lost across much of Israel and the Gaza Strip. This as the Israel-Hamas war rages on into 2024.
We do not feel that there is a new year because of the intensity of the pain we live in. All days are the same.
IDF troops continue ramping up ground and air operations across northern, central, and southern Gaza, targeting Hamas militants and destroying their infrastructure after the group's deadly October incursion into Israel that sparked the war. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says the war will continue for several more months until the terror group is wiped out of the region and the more than 100 hostages still in Hamas captivity are freed.
We eliminated so far over 8,000 terrorists, and every day of fighting we eliminate many additional terrorists. Step by step, we are depriving Hamas of its capabilities.
New Year's Eve night, these skyscrapers in Tel Aviv were lit up in yellow and the Israeli flag to show support and call for the release of the remaining hostages.
While you counting down until the new year, our time and our life stopped.
Meanwhile, fears the war will expand into a larger regional conflict remain. The U.S. military confirming it killed several Houthi rebels over the weekend after they attacked another cargo ship in the Red Sea. Claudia Cowan, Fox News.
We'll look at the weather to start our new year after the break. Plus, new year, new you. But why? We are looking at the history and science behind New Year's resolutions.
Now, your Twin Tiers forecast from Big Fox.
Good evening. I hope everybody had a wonderful New Year's. As we did round off 2023, we saw that our final days were bringing in some of that slight cooling as we held to a high of 37 degrees yesterday. Now that did allow for our temperatures here for December as well as our annual average to take some top seats. We see that our December temperature average in Elmira was 38.3 degrees, being the second warmest December on record, and then our annual average temperature was just shy of 51 degrees, making for the warmest year on record. So we'll see where we are going to be carried over here into 2024 as we have started off the year with those gloomy skies and temperatures staying within those 30s, which again, still slightly warmer than normal, but looking at feeling a little bit more winter-like. Now, with those overcast skies overnight, know that we won't see much cooling. We actually see that our normal low is about 18 degrees, and we're seeing that we're hanging on to those mid-20s across much of the region due to that cloud cover acting as that lid, keeping us insulated and a bit more mild. And we are going to see that as we head through this week, it is going to be more of a fair weather week. Mild temperatures early on into the week, and then we are going to see that a cold front is going to bring us some cooler weather, also going to allow for a few snow showers from Wednesday into Thursday. Going to be some lake effects, so some bigger impacts closer to Lake Ontario there, but we'll watch for that frontal system before we are watching a weekend storm. There's still lots of uncertainties, but there is a potential that through the middle of January, we are going to be talking about a change up in our weather pattern. Now, after starting off our first day with some gloomy skies and cooler temperatures, we are going to head into our Tuesday with some cloud cover to start the day, but then coming to those bright skies by the afternoon, and with more of a west-northwesterly wind that is going to turn southwesterly by the end of the day. That is going to help for some mild temperatures. We also have a brown ground right now. That also helps warm up that surface. So we're looking at returning to those lower 40s, bringing us back to about 5 to 10 degrees above normal. We'll see that much of the area. We'll see that sunshine there, with most regions even climbing into those 40s as well for our Tuesday. As we head into our Wednesday, we'll be back underneath some increasing cloud cover, and we do still keep that southwesterly flow though. So we'll see that still overnight pretty mild, 28 for a low, and then hanging on to those 40s with those overcast skies returning by the afternoon, as that's where we'll be watching that cold front pushing in. There will be some of that lake effect again, especially farther off towards the north, bringing maybe some impacts through the Finger Lakes, and then could see a few flurries get carried over into our Thursday, where we will have some of those stronger winds coming off of the lake even into our Friday forecast, before by the weekend we have another return of that southwesterly flow, and that's where we are going to be seeing the emergence of that next storm system. But again, still lots of uncertainties, but expecting that if there will be some impacts, they look to be falling into our Sunday.